Hey, party people, what's going on?
Have you ever used that expression ever, Nicole? Or is that the first time?
No, I use it.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I say it
You walk in a room and drop "Hey, party people."
to the kids. Yeah, party people,
Good
and
for
they're
you.
like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
please stop." And then
Oh
I
my
do it
gosh.
again.
Isn't that CNC Music Factory? Isn't that where that song that came from? That song?
I
I
don't
think it.
know.
Oh, I think that's an early '90s reference right
I don't
there.
know. It's like somewhere
Okay.
back here. Yeah. But I wanted to apologize to the audience because I know our scheduling got a little like wonky. And
Yeah.
I just didn't realize like how much goes into scheduling these things. So I'm gonna like get it together.
Yeah.
And when we're three busy people trying to get on the same schedules, it's proven a little tough, but we'll get there. So my apologies. Because people message me, they're like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
Where's the episode?" I'm like,
Yeah, they're waiting for that episode.
I
They
know.
know that, hey, there's a new episode coming out, and then they look for it. And you know what, Nicole, I tell you what, that's a good thing. If you did
No,
not hear from anybody, you'd be going, "Oh my gosh, is anybody paying attention?" But
no, I know. So
people
that's why I
can't
don't
wait.
want to let them down. I don't want to let people down. And I also, being a viewer of things myself, I don't like it when they skip an episode. It's like out of sight, out of mind. So
Yeah.
I really want to deliver the episodes. And I've been getting so many kind messages about people loving the show and watching the show. People I never would have dreamed were messaging me. So that makes me feel really good.
It is. You know what I get the most is I always have women in my neighborhood. I've been in this neighborhood for about 8 years now. And then they pay attention to the show and they go, "You have to bring Nicole down to San Diego. She has to come to some of our parties. She needs to hang out with us." Like, so the good news is you're coming off great. People want to have a glass of wine, whatever it is, they just want to hang out. I've had some people say, if Nicole ever goes to Las Vegas, let me know. I want to go to Las Vegas with Nicole. But you're coming off as someone that obviously people can connect with. And it's exciting. People always ask me all the time, if she is cool, off camera as she is on camera. And I go, she's the same person. She's
Super.
absolutely fantastic. So,
Well,
again, I think this is a lot of fun and people to see who you are. You did something, by the way, I wanted to point out and ask you questions. You posted some stuff on social media of back in the day stuff. I mean, way back in the day when you're a little kid.
yeah.
How did you get access to that? And can you give a little bit of a background on that?
Well, thank God for social media and the internet. I mean, honestly, we found it. Someone tagged me on Instagram with the little like Mattel the Barbie commercial, and then and that was just one of like a dozen I've done. And then the copper tone I found on YouTube. So
Wow. Wow.
yeah, so it's like thank God, there's somebody that sits there and like uploads it, and I appreciate it deeply because I don't keep archives of anything. I'm really horrible at that. So yeah, really, really love that. And just really quick, shout out to my friend Tyler, Fire Tiger, great band, local band. If you guys haven't listened to them, listen to them. They're great.
That's very nice. That's
Yeah.
nice. All right, so let me ask you about when you found this stuff of you as a kid. Number
Uh-huh.
one, did the memories come shooting back? Was it as clear as you remember? And did you show your daughters? Who did you show besides putting it on social media? Like, I'm very curious to know what your youngest thought when she saw that's my mom as a little kid.
Well, first, okay, so I showed her with the doll one, which I have no recollection of shooting whatsoever. Like I don't remember that at all. And she goes, "Oh," and then she goes, "Oh, that's it? That's all you did?" Like, that was just the part? Yeah, it was like I said, I honestly don't know. This is just a clip we found. The
Yeah.
copper tone I remember clearly because I love copper tone. I've always loved copper tone. And when I went on the audition, and this would be so unacceptable these days, but went on the audition, and for some reason we didn't get the note that you had to wear a bathing suit.
Oh,
And I was a little kid, and I wanted it so bad, and I was like, "No problem," and I just stripped down in my underwear. I didn't even have like a bralette. I stripped down into my undies, my little chonies,
yeah.
and I walked in there and I did that audition, and they were like, and I was obviously tan with like
Yeah.
bathing suit, tan
Yeah.
lines and everything, and they were like hired. So
Wow.
yeah. I think there's a lot of recognizable faces and actors in that commercial if you look closely. So
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm okay. So you brought that up. So a bunch of things I wanted to ask you about getting a role and getting selected. So when you go to an audition, because there's so many people out there that, again, I said this to you, I think one of the first shows, people that do a middle school play, and let's say they're in Oklahoma, and they're like, I'm going to Hollywood one day, and I'm going to get paid for this, and I'm really good at this because everyone in my neighborhood says I'm good at this. And this happens every year across the country, that someone gives someone the acting bug to go, I want to do this full time. I want this to be my career. So when you go into
Not every year, every day.
every day, right?
Every day.
Honestly, you're right. Every day. But there are more and more, basically people. And why wouldn't you? From everything you see, I mean, for me, even on the outside, I'm going, not too bad. Not only do you get a chance to be on a camera and people say nice things about you and how great you are, nobody tells you suck to your face, kind of a deal, but you're recognized and people give you stuff. And it's great when people tell you how great you are every single day. But then there's, of course, as you know, there's a big downside that people don't talk about. But from what, the average person sees, it looks like a fantastic life. So when you're a kid to an adult, we'll start off when you're a kid and you go in and you're going for a Coppertone commercial or a TV show. How many people are normally in an audition? What's goes through the process? I know they're all a little bit different, but can you explain to people exactly kind of what you went through as a kid and how it basically matured into an adult and how they changed?
Well, when I was a child, there were way fewer people in the industry, and it would usually be the same handful of kids that you would see on auditions. And so it was a very close knit community. You kind of knew who was going to book it and who wasn't, and it was a lot easier, I want to say, if you could get into that circle.
Yeah.
And you would go in and you would see kind of the same group of kids every time. That was so many years ago. And I haven't auditioned in probably 20, 25 years. Like I haven't been pursuing acting, which I just got a manager. I just did my headshots right in time for the writer's strike.
Wow.
Winning. Leave it to me to have the worst timing ever. So anyways, and now what happens is you put yourself on tape at home. So it's you and you're in the camera. And my casting director friend told me that he gets about 10,000 submissions.
Wow.
And what a job that he has to go through all of those. So it's an entirely different process now. And some actors hate it because they feel like they're missing that rapport in the room with, showing their personality. Other people like myself love it because you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to drive all over town. You don't have to, which is not an easy task, looking for parking and being on time and standing and waiting and all that. You just do it at home on your own time and you send it in. You can do as many takes as you want, right?
Yeah.
And if you pop up in the middle of the night and you're like, I have a better idea, you can redo it. So to me, I think it's like a win-win. I think it's a little bit harder on the casting directors, but I think that it's a win-win. And it's just totally different. And listen, I've only done one audition. I've only done one on tape audition. And
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the writers went on strike. There's just nothing going on. So a producer wanted to see me for a network thing, but it's totally different. And to me, I think it kind of takes the pressure off because it's just you and the camera and your own like energy. But because before, for me, it was stressful to walk into a room full of people, everybody's staring at you. You have to like turn on, and I just was never good at that because I'm super shy, or I used to be really super shy. I'm not so shy anymore. So for me, it was kind of dreadful.
Yeah. Do you look at the other people before you audition, like the ones, and let's say in the hallway or in a room, and just go, "That's my enemy" or "That's my competition"? Like, do you start sizing up the room?
I don't. I'm sure people do. I've learned in my life you don't judge anybody by anything. Like, no, I don't. I don't. And to get back to people who want to do it, there's a lot of competition out there, and not to break anybody's spirit. If you believe in yourself, I said this before on another show, if you believe in yourself, no matter what it is in life, you have to give it a shot. Otherwise you're going to die going, I wish I had tried. You got to try everything.
I'm with you on that. I think a lot of people are so afraid of failing that they just don't even attempt.
That's right. And I'm guilty of that in life too. So even more reason for me to put that message out there. We hold ourselves back. We stand in our own way.
The what's the saying, don't be your own worst enemy. But in reality, we're all our own worst enemy. Basically we hold ourselves back all the time. And
I know, and I look at some people who are so full of self-confidence, and I'm like, do they ever have a moment where they're like, I shouldn't be saying this, I shouldn't do that, or I should like refrain? But there's some people who just like are so overly confident, and I kind of admire some of it because it does take a little bit of fearlessness, but I tend to be more humble and a little bit more self-deprecating.
do you think were you always that way? The reason I asked that question is just from the limited stuff I've seen from your youngest daughter. She seems like that. She seems like she walks in a room and she has confidence like you wouldn't believe.
She does. Yesterday, she was having like a meltdown moment because she said she thinks some of her friends, she's at that emotional sixth grade age and hormonal and all that. She had this moment of like, she was afraid that her friends thought she was annoying because she's so like, she's very high spirited and she's pretty hyper and she's a happy, happy soul. And my heart was breaking for her. She was so sad yesterday. And I just was like, it was just breaking my heart because with that comes going, are people judging me? Do people
Mhm.
not like me? Do people think I'm too much? And she's not one of those like annoying overly hyper kids, but sixth grade is horrible. Sixth grade
It
is
is.
right, like
It
it's
is.
so hard to
It
fit in.
is.
So
It is.
yeah, she
Well,
had a
especially for girls. For at least what I remember of sixth grade, just being a boy in class going, that's the first time you notice girls in your class are change their bodies are changing.
right.
And I mean, as boys, we're like, whoa, what happened over here and what happened over here? And then I can't remember hardly anything in sixth grade because I was that guy checking out everybody that was changing. But guys really don't do that.
But don't you think
Later on.
that happens for like once you go to high school, girls look at the boys and they go, what happened over the summer? Because that's when the
Yeah,
boys like sprout up and then their voice is not cracking anymore. It's like
that's true.
that's when boys have that change when first year of high school, I feel. But
That's true. Little facial hair or whatever else it
yeah,
is.
they
And yeah, it
change.
does. It changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. I still remember the girl that I was chasing in sixth grade just because her body changed first,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I'm hanging out with Susan Walker as long as I could. Took her to Wendy's in a movie, my first date in sixth grade,
Oh. Uh-huh.
but that was, I think I scared her and she moved to Virginia. But anyway, but yeah, it is. It's a tough time, especially for girls in sixth grade
Yeah.
you know so when you go through, as I said, the audition process, and let's say you get that role, okay, so do you remember auditioning for, let's go Charles in Charge, do you remember auditioning for that show or was it given to you?
It was given to me.
Okay, now
Um, yeah, it was
can you
given to
can
me.
you break down, I know the connection you had with Al Burton, but can you break down when you got the call that, hey, there's this TV show, this is who you're going to be, this is what the story, what it's about, where everything to your emotions, to being on cloud nine, to how it change your life, to
Well,
moving,
remember
school,
we
friends,
talked
everything.
about this. No, we talked about this already. I don't want to bore everybody, but with my repeating my stories, I wanted to be on Circus of the Stars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was excited I got a series so that I could go back to Circus of the Stars and go,
I love
I'm a
it.
series regular. That was my first like excited. That's what I was really honestly most excited about. As horrible as that sounds, that's the truth.
So it wasn't about the reason I ask you, I've done radio forever. I've done local radio, I've done national radio. National radio, nobody knows who you are the second you turn the microphone off. Doing local radio, people will stop you and say, "Hey, I listen to your show every morning," that kind of thing. And I'll be honest, it feels good when people tell you, "Hey, I listen to your show." You appreciate the fact that people take 3 hours out of their day or 4 hours to tune in every morning, that you're now part of their lives. The way Rick Dees was like part of my life, or Mark and Brian, or Howard Stern, any of those guys that think, man, I'm part of people's mornings,
Right.
driving to work, while they're shaving in the morning, they're listening to me. Was there any of that to you of going, man, now I have a regular show. People recognize me on this show. They take time out of their day to watch the show. And now people, again, probably are telling you how great you are, how beautiful you are, everything that goes along with it. Of course, money is money, but the self-esteem factor of, hey, I'm on a show. It's not easy to be on a show.
No, it's not. And you never really quit a show because you're lucky to get one. For me, you have to understand I was so young and Charles in Charge was starting the first day that high school would start for me. So there was a bit of like, I was at that awkward age and I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna go to high school with my friends. am I going to lose all my friends? Am I going to be like out? So there's that factor. And then, we got on set. It was really fun. It was in front of a live audience and all that. And then, abuse started on that set. So for
Yeah.
me, it made me even more insecure and even more scared and even more like just self-unaware and like really closed up to have to hold on to that secret on top of it all. And then as far as being recognized out in public, I kind of like would do this tunnel vision. I only recently stopped doing this. I had to work on it. I would just focus on what I was doing. I wouldn't look at anybody because I knew people were looking at me, and it was so uncomfortable. So there were so many factors going into that I didn't get to really ride that ride like of joy. And I'm not saying there wasn't fun times, and I'm not saying that I didn't love doing the show, but there was a lot going on emotionally for me in those days. So it was tough.
I imagine. I mean, okay, so did it ever turn into, you hate to say it's work, but of course it's work. I mean, when you're doing something you enjoy, people always say, always live a day that doesn't feel like it's work. You get paid to do something you love. But because things were different behind the scenes, did you go have anxiety? Did you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to show up on, Monday? And I kind of want to get into how that schedule works of, this going to the studio isn't what people think. Going to the studio for me is I got to be, basically on pins and needles to make sure, everything's okay.
Well, yeah, it's really half of this, half of that. So it's really for me, the most fun job in the world. Wouldn't trade it. Love it. It's exciting. It's that thing. If you love what you're doing, you're not working. On the other side of that coin, because there's always two sides, it is 100% dedication. You don't get a sick day. You don't get a tired day. You don't get a travel day. You don't get these things. You have to be there when they say. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
in a huge lawsuit, right? You have to have your attitude good. Everybody's exhausted. It's long hours. When you're putting in 12-hour days, the whole crew is doing it, right? Everybody's in it together, but you have to look good and you have to perform, right? So it's tough. It's a lot of pressure in that. And, your personal life can really suffer. So, again, another side, back to the good side, is you get downtime. You do get downtime where, if you're not doing press and other projects, you can take time and have like all days to yourself. You can sort of dictate that. So there's lots of different factors going into it. But for me, it's the best job in the world.
So when you get,
visit you too, right? So if you want your kids on set, your kids can come to work with you. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so explain. Let me again. I'll tell you what I know, or what I think I know. Like I know it. As a person that loves to watch TV, and I find my shows, and I know in May it's like, oh my gosh, we're coming to the point where we aren't going to see a new TV show until mid-September to the end of September. And now what am I going to do? I start to do this little bit of a panic. Like, what do I do on Thursday nights without Law and Order? You know what I mean? What's going to happen? And it's usually like 22 episodes a year is usually what you get. It seems like on most TV shows, or 22 new shows a year. So 22 out of 52 weeks. And I'm always curious to know, how far in advance are those, basically in the can? Are they recorded ahead of time? Also, um, how much time do you have to learn your lines? Like, when do you get the script? How does it work? I know on Charles in Charge, you guys would tape on Thursdays. So
Right.
at what point would you get your script and
Friday.
you guys
get the new
sit
on Friday. So you would
so
have
you
a whole
do you
week.
sit down on Friday with everybody, or do they just give you the script?
No, you have to
So
sit down. You have a read through.
okay, and everybody, from what I've seen, like on Curb Your Enthusiasm, everyone's just sitting at a table reading their lines in front of
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the writers, change everything on you, and they change it all through the week. So yeah, a show like that is different because you have to learn you have to know the whole script, not just scene by scene. You have to know it all, and they're constantly changing it on you. But you get a lot of rehearsal time. So there's a lot of like, run through on set and everything like that. Whereas when you film something, you do it scene by scene, and every project is different too. How far in advance you get it. There's always rewrites. There's some scripts like on top shows where it's secret and they can't give it to you in advance.
Yeah.
There's so many factors. So it's really different. You have to find your like way of learning your lines because it is all over the place and it is a lot.
So I've been at tapings of Charles in Charge where literally they would say cut and they'd rewrite a line right in front of the studio
Yeah,
audience because
exactly.
it didn't get the laugh or the response they thought they were going to get, and then they change it, and then all of a sudden everything that you've been working on memorizing for maybe the last 7 days has changed.
Oh yeah, or like we would be backstage, right, and getting ready to go on and do the next scene, and they would hand you papers and go, "The scene's been rewritten," and you're like, "But we're taping right now." Yep, you have to learn it right there, like quick.
Wow.
So, but I think it's something like when you're exercising that muscle, like it sort of,
I'm
you know,
amazed by it. I'll be honest, I'm amazed. Yeah, at my age and watching as many movies and TV shows as I've seen, I always wonder how in the hell do you do it? Like, how do these people bring these lines in and stick them in their head the way they do?
well, that's another thing people don't realize, you have to work. You have to work at this. You have to build those muscles. You have to practice and you have to hone and you have to do all of that because yeah, it's not like, oh, I mean, yeah, sure, there's some people with like photographic memory. I'm not one. I can't remember shit. I can't remember what I did yesterday. So, yeah, it's different. It's hard. It's a
Is there
skill.
one project that you did before? I mean, you've mentioned many shows, whether it's Fantasy Island or TJ Hooker or Charles in Charge. Any of them that were harder than other shows for a certain reason?
Um, I kind of feel like night shoots are always hard, to work through the night, sunset to sunrise.
Yeah.
I always find that hard, but I'm a girl that likes her sleep. So, sometimes they're fun too, though. That's not true. I don't know. I mean, I think, what I think is the hardest, in my opinion, is when you're on like a bigger budget show or any budget show, really, and you aren't in every scene and you
Yeah.
have to sit and wait all day. Like the waiting for me, this is a personal thing. I can't stand it. I am not a patient person when it comes to just sitting, and you're
Yeah.
in this trailer and you're like sitting. I remember doing an episode of Clueless, and I swear to God, I must have sat in that trailer for 10 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. And they were just having problems with their other stuff, other things was happening with production. You just have to wait. I mean, you're being paid to be there. So it's like, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
seems like you could be like, oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, true. But I get exhausted. Like my
Yeah.
energy is like through the
Yeah.
ground, trying to sleep in the trailer. We didn't have devices back then. The TV never
Oh yeah.
was always like
Yeah.
just trying to get the antenna, to get some TV going through the radio, like trying to find a non-static station. It was bullshit. So it was like you had no entertainment, you're stuck. You don't know when you're gonna go, they're gonna call you, so you can't leave. It's
Yeah.
like you're sitting,
Oh, you're right. Well, there's no smartphone. I mean, you're doing that show in the 80s. You're not like you're on TikTok or anything to waste time.
no iPad, no
Yeah.
nothing, no computer.
Yeah, that's true. What are you gonna do? Just draw?
Learn your lines.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Once you have that down, what are you gonna do next? That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
All right, so again, this is how my head works. You learn these lines. You have everything in your head, the dialogue. You got to present it like it's natural. Are you afraid to read anything else? Like, let's say you have 10 hours to go. Well, I'll read a book. But shoot, what if I read the book and those lines start going into my head? Like, it would freak me out. I'd
Oh
be
my
so
God.
afraid to pick up reading because
No.
I'm like, this is going to turn into my dialogue in my head when I start talking.
No, that's
No.
personally no.
Yeah, that's
Not
fun.
me.
That's the difference I always say, guys and girls. I'm a terrible multitasker. Like if you and I are talking and I'm writing as I'm about to think of what I'm going to say back to you, I'll just write down what I'm saying, not paying attention to what I'm writing. I can't do two things at once. I have to
Well,
focus on one thing.
me too. I think it's I just saw an article. I just saw a story on this about that it's not multitaskers have a tendency to not complete or not do the best job at each thing that they're doing also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's something to be said about completing a task and then moving on to the next. I think,
Yeah.
And I get more fulfillment like that. If there's a whole bunch of open ends, I get frazzled. I get like, so I like to just, check that off the list. Check that off.
Me
the
too.
list. I feel complete.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's funny. You sound like the guys in my neighborhood that I hang out with. Yeah, because their wives will always say, "Here's a list of things you got to do before people come over for the party," and then the wives always yell at them like, "You're only down to number 3. Like, why aren't you doing more than one at one time?" And look, I can half-ass every one of these on this list, or I can make all of them the way you want them, but I got to go one at a time down the list, and that's the way most guys think. Now, I always say in my head, because I'm always amazed by women who can multitask, and again, I've never found a guy that's a good multitasker. That's why I vote for females, because I know there's so much that goes on probably in the job and politics that I go, women will think things out. In my experience, they think things out. They'll take time. Guys kind of just, they pass it on and go, okay, that's good enough. And they seem like they kind of rush through things. But when it comes to people's lives, I want someone that's going to look in full detail of how things are going to go and then be able to handle more than one problem at once. That's why I always vote female. I look at the ballot and I don't know, man or woman, boom, check off female.
Right
Every
on.
time.
Yeah, I
Every
mean,
time.
I think we tend to be overthinkers. I'm not saying that there aren't men out there that aren't,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely an overthinker. Like, I have to turn the TV on to try to listen to the TV or the radio or something, to try to stop the thoughts, like to stop overthinking. I will think of a scenario and I will do it over. It's a little bit obsessive. It's a little bit annoying, a lot annoying. But I can't like turn it off. So I'm constantly thinking about the next thing, rethinking it, doing different scenarios. Like, oh, it's just painful. I wish I could just like plow through, but
I think we all do. I think we absolutely all do. All right. So the question is, as far as you get a role and you're, now starring in a successful TV show, which I think would be cool as can be, even on your time off of going, I'm part of something that people are appreciating and take time to watch. The bad day, the day that comes where they say, hey, guess what? This show isn't, we're done. We're going to basically end the show and it's over. What happens? How is the cast notified? How are people notified that, hey, a show is coming to an end? The reason I ask this question, one of the things I do all the time around this time of the year, and I did it a few days ago, what shows in 2023 are not coming back in the fall? And I'm just curious to know who's been canceled. When a show is canceled, how does it work? How do they notify the people that are part of the show?
Usually, in my experience, it's been announced like on set with everybody, that sort of thing. Or, like, okay, we're getting picked up for our last season.
Yeah. Who makes that announcement to people on the show?
Usually the production, the producers.
Okay. Got it.
But,
do rumors go around first ahead of time of, hey, I don't think we're coming back?
Well, there's always that who knows. I think today they have a better grasp on it. Let's also not forget, it's been a very long time since I've been on a show. So I think today they have a better grasp because their numbers, the way they can track numbers is so different, right? They know everything. They know every detail of it. It used to be, remember the Nielsen ratings?
Yeah.
And they would only put them in certain houses. And it was so funny. Someone knocked on my door one day and they were asking if I wanted to be a participant. And then he goes, wait a minute, you're an actress. You can't participate in this.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, good. Conversation over. But that was a wild thing because I always wondered who has those on their TV.
Yeah.
And someone moved to my house.
And you start thinking in your mind going, how great would it be to get paid to basically watch TV? They want to know what I'm watching. I believe they get paid. I thought so. I was assuming they got paid.
Oh, I don't know.
My buddy Matt and I used to talk about it all the time. That'd be a dream job. Imagine if they put something in your house and that you knew it, you got to control what people watched.
Yeah, I was offered that until he recognized me. But so now, you know how it works. And they know when someone stops watching, when they start watching, how many people are streaming, how many people are DVRing it. It's like they know everything. So that they really kind of have a better grasp on which shows are, booming and which aren't. So I think it's really no surprise to people anymore.
When they, for you, you've been part of that, I imagine, where they've, producers have come in or the network has come in and said, hey, this is it. The show's not being picked up. It was a good run. All that, but they end up making the announcement. I imagine it's a terrible day for most to know, hey, I'm out of a job. What goes through it? Because again, you build a family. These are people you hang out with, as you said, 10, 12 hours a day for years.
Yeah. I think that when shows are newer and they get canceled, I think that's harder because everybody's putting so much into it, and there's all this hope and all this love for the show. I think when you've been doing the show for a long time, like Charles in Charge, I think we did 150 episodes or something like that. I think a lot of people were ready to move on. It does get monotonous. I was certainly ready to get the hell out of there. But and then there's other people who, their stability is gone. But as a kid, you don't think that way, right? You just think, oh, I get free time now. But I think as adults, a lot of times it's the stability, or you just love the project, and it's just sad. And like I said, I think that happens more in the earlier, when a show can't really get itself off the ground, or when you really believe in it, but the network isn't giving you the chance, and they're not giving you another season. It's just, I think that's the frustrating and disappointing part more. But most actors, then they go on and they do something else, and the crew and everybody moves on to the next job, and you create another family, and you go on.
Yeah, I always wonder, if I was a child actor, would I panic knowing, am I going to be accepted as an adult actor? You and I talked before in a previous show about the transition often isn't easy. Either you get typecasted, or what was cute as a 6-year-old isn't a successful 25-year-old actor.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine where age it's a big step. I mean, even for a guy like Justin Bieber, who's a singer, was a kid singer, and then he made the transition, and I'm always amazed that people that can transition and make it through, to say, my talent has pulled me through. It didn't matter what I was typecasted as.
It's true. And I mean, but he made it through because he has talent. Yes. And he's always like evolving, and you can see it, right? And he puts himself out there. I always look back, I admire these young people who really take their career seriously. I was not one of those people. I was a little ball of emotion and mess, and really kind of wanted time off, and either wanted to be working or time off. And but I didn't think of the future very much. I didn't think of the future. I don't know what that is about me. I'll have to look into that. But I never really thought about the future. And I don't know. I guess maybe because I didn't pursue the acting from the beginning, it wasn't like, that's my passion, I'm going for it. I kind of fell into it and grew up with it, that I just sort of just went with the flow instead of worrying and wondering and all of that. So, and then I got to the point where I was not wanting to really transition into an adult actor because I needed a childhood. I hadn't had a childhood. And so I kind of did my life backwards. And that's why I think I'm so immature and childlike in times, because I didn't have that. I was a responsible working kid my whole life, so I needed that time to just be irresponsible, to sleep in, to blow off stuff. I needed to do that. I needed to go out and party and be wild and carefree and run in the grass barefoot. I needed to do all of that. So I had to take that time. And then that turned into having a family. And, it's only now that I look and I go, you know what? I really miss it now. It's I think enough time has passed where I look at it in an entirely different way, and I have a different approach and a different outlook, and, a different appreciation for it in all regards,
At the time when you were looking for that break, 2 questions. One is, did your family ever say, hey, Nicole, you got to find another show? Maybe not say it to your face, but you could feel it of, hey, when are you going to find another show? Or we got to get you on another show. And at the same time, were you thinking, not only do I need a break, but maybe even a break out of California, a break out of a major city, just to breathe and feel like maybe I'm not going to be recognized, and I can just be the person that's inside?
Well, when you leave California, you're recognized more. Let's just start there.
That's funny. You're right. You're right. You're right.
And I always consistently worked. So there was never oh, we need a job. We need a job. I honestly continuously worked as a child all the time into my young adulthood. So I was ready for a break. I mean, let's be honest. I was at retirement age. Most people retire after putting that many years in. So for me, when people say like, oh, you can't get work or whatever, it's like, no, I need a break. I need time away. I need a breather. I need to grow up a little bit. I need to find myself. I can work on myself. So it's. And now I feel like rejuvenated. I was tired and run down, and then I lived life, and then life got a little rough, and you know, digging up and unpacking all your luggage, all your baggage, should I say? And and then I don't know, when I turned 50, I kind of blossomed, I feel like,
Yeah.
spiritually,
Yeah.
emotionally, spiritually. So it's good. And I'm ready to like put on my gloves and go to fight.
Good. Good. I'm glad to hear it. I think that a lot of people are glad to hear you say that. Yeah, I was curious to know because I knew as you've worked for a long, long time. And at what point do you say, this is not something I want to do? And the funny thing about TV, you and I discussed this a couple shows ago about there's so much good television out there now, maybe better than ever. And there's so much access to it on different platforms. And you're seeing mainstream big time actors doing television series, and they're great series. People always ask me, "What's your favorite series of all time?" And everybody has an opinion, and then we love to talk about it. Did you ever feel when you were doing TV saying, you know what, I want to make a break from TV and hopefully get into films when TV wasn't, let's say, as respected as it is now?
Yeah, I had a moment of that. And it was a quick moment because the reality of that was not like what I had in my head. So it was I did some like independent, some like kind of edgy stuff. And that wasn't my genre.
Yeah.
I don't know who I was kidding. I was trying to like change my image and change who I was and all that. And it so that wasn't the right career path for me. But I mean, I had to explore it because it was like what I wanted, because I always love edgy independent films. Like that's still, I love that. I love documentaries. Like that's my jam. So I wanted to be part of that. But just because you love something doesn't mean like it fits, you fit into it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So that didn't really work. And it was like I needed to take that time off to, because people always ask this question. You've heard it a million times. What would you do if you weren't an actress? And it's so funny because my whole life I've asked myself this question, and I've never had the time or the opportunity to ever explore anything else. So that was another thing that I needed to do. I needed to explore, like, who is Nicole? What would Nicole be? What's her passion? And I've explored a lot of things. I've put my toe in the pond of a lot of different things, thinking, oh, this could be it, this could be it. And at the end of the day, I think it's acting. I am always drawn back to it. It's the one thing I missed. It's the one thing I don't get bored of. Everything else, I
Yeah.
think, oh, this is exciting. This could be fun. And then I'm like, oh my God, it's so boring. You know?
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, I think we've all been there.
speaking
We've
of
all been
careers,
there.
wait, let's talk about you and what happened, your news that you got this week, because
Oh my gosh. So
this is
you and I always talk about, good stuff, bad stuff. Sometimes we both have bad weeks. Sometimes we both have good weeks. Yeah, we were talking, about stuff that I've done in the past, and for me, of course, I love entertainment. I always love entertainment, whether it's movies, it's TV, it's sports. For me, as a kid, I always wanted to be a professional baseball player. I mean, from like 3 years old, my mom would say, "What do you want to be?" I want to be a pro baseball player, and we'd go through sports as a young boy. I played football, basketball, baseball, but baseball was always my favorite. And so when you realize that dream isn't going to happen, that's when I became a sports broadcaster, because it got me as close to that circle as I could be. And I sold it to myself. I'm not going to age out as a broadcaster. I could be on the field and talking to the players before and after games, and I've had a chance to have some great experiences. But then I got into coaching at around age 22. I started coaching high school baseball, and that turned into travel ball and stuff like that. And then I realized I could help kids get scholarships and really make a difference in young people's lives. So as we do the show today, as we're recording right now on May 10th, 2023, I get a call yesterday or a text message yesterday at 6 a.m. in the morning. And it's from a player that I used to coach, and I've had him since he was 4 years old. And he goes, "Coach, I made it. I'm going to the big leagues." And I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. And he was my younger son's closest friend when they were 4 years old, and to see that he made it to the majors. And so the team he's on He's now the starting shortstop for the San Francisco Giants, which I'm a Dodger fan. I'm wearing a Brooklyn Dodgers hat right now, but the Giants are the rival of the Dodgers, as funny as can be. But he ended up starting shortstop for the San Francisco Giants yesterday. And I 100% would have got on a plane and watched his debut. About 40 of the people in the neighborhood went and watched him. And I was given a speech last night on fentanyl to a group of families about the dangers of fentanyl. So I wasn't able to make it up. But I'm following on my phone as the game's going on. And Nicole, in his first game, he hits a home run.
Oh, come
And
on.
yeah, it was, you wouldn't believe it. And it was crazy. And here he is wearing number 6, Casey Schmidt, for the San Francisco Giants. And I kept thinking my younger son, who passed away, would have been so happy. He would have made me say, Dad, we got to fly up. There's no way that we aren't going to watch Casey's debut. But hits a home run in his first game, and I can't tell you how excited I am. It made me feel like he made it. It's been my passion. I felt like part of me was there, but of course, I felt like my son, who's no longer with us, was there, and I know he would have been the happiest person in the world for him. And Casey knows that too. So really,
Did you
really
cry
excited.
happy tears?
I did.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny, Nicole? Because he's one thing about Casey is he's always been a kind of, I would say, a goofy kid. He's a fun kid, but he's never been the kid that's academics, or I'm going to be an engineer if I'm not a baseball player. That kid will tell you he was a baseball player forever. That's the only thing he wanted to be. And it's always the big moment when a major league team calls you and says, hey, we're calling you up to the major leagues, and you're out of the minors and not sleeping in motels and making $500 a week and sleeping on the floor of buses. But it's that big moment. So, Casey, where were you when you got the call? And I was watching Guardians of the Galaxy, and my phone went off, and he turned his phone off, didn't answer it.
Oh my
And then,
God.
and then they called back again. He's like, what? They're like, what the hell? And he answered, finally says, the credits are rolling. The movie's, I'm not going to miss the movie. So he walks out, takes the phone, and they're like, where you been? We're trying to tell you, you've been called up to the San Francisco Giants. And that's how he found out. But I said, man, of course you were watching Guardians of the Galaxy, that you missed the dramatic moment of getting the news to tell your mom and dad and your brother that, hey, I'm a pro baseball player at the highest level. So it was very, very exciting. And the whole community around us is on cloud 9, and we're all very, very happy for him.
I
So
love
yeah, something else. Yeah, it was amazing. I have a bunch of kids that I coached in the minor leagues, but he's the first one to make it to the majors. So very, very excited.
It's
Yeah, it's
always
neat.
great to see like your friends do something amazing and like make it big and
Yeah. Oh
move
yeah.
on. I have like a lot of friends like who are struggling actors and now are like big, actors. But there's something really special about it when you know them as a kid. And then
Yes.
you watch them grow up and then they went and they got what they
Yeah.
wanted and what they
Yeah.
knew they were gonna get. Yeah, there's something so special about that.
It is. It is. It is crazy. It's funny. One quick story on this. So when he played for me, he drove me crazy in T-ball because he ran all over the place. You're trying to teach kids, this is your area, you stay right here. And the ball would be hit all the way to right field, and he'd be at shortstop. He'd knock over 10 kids trying to get to the ball. He didn't care. And it's stop chasing the ball. That's that kid's area. And I remember I was 4 years old. I just looked at his dad. I'm never going to coach this kid again. He drives me crazy. And I coached him again for another, 10 years and everything else. But he, when he got a little bit older, I didn't think he was fast enough to play the shortstop. So I said to his dad, we're going to move him to third base. Dad goes, he's a shortstop. Got upset with me. And then he moves on to high school, and their coach puts him at third base. So he's still not fast enough for good enough to play shortstop. So they see what I see. Goes to San Diego State University. They put him at third base, and then he makes it to the San Francisco Giants, and they put him at shortstop, where his dad told me he should be 10 years ago. And I'm waiting for his
That's
dad to call me
amazing.
and go, I told you so.
That's
You don't know
amazing. Full
shit.
circle.
You don't know
Full
shit.
circle right there, right?
That
It's
is
funny how
it.
parents know what their kids. Parents just know. It's
Oh my gosh. Oh
right.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so funny. So crazy. Yeah, but yeah, I'll have a smile on my face for a full week till the next time I talk to you. I do want to knock some of these questions out though. Again, thanks for letting me share that story. It's a fantastic
Oh, I
moment
love it.
for me this week. Again, Nicole's mailbag, it's easy. All I have to do is go to the perfectlytwistedpod.com website, and you can look at Nicole's mailbag, and we'll give you a chance to ask her some questions. So let me throw some of these out. These are here from Tony Nacarado. I always mess up these names. I apologize, Tony, if I mess this up for you. All right. So, Nicole, I'm gonna try and read this. Nicole, that I put my glasses on, by the way.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
I was like, I look weird with the hat and glasses. I can only wear the glasses if I don't have a hat on. It's one of those things. So, all right, here we go. How did you appearing on the 1995 cover Sugar Ray's Lemonade and Brownies album come about? Did you pose for the album cover, or is that picture from something else? They also used it on for the album cover.
okay. Good story. I knew Mark McGrath from Orange County, and
Really? Did you know him before he was
yeah,
popular?
I knew him way
No
before.
way.
He used to crash at my place for a while. He started dating my best friend, who he's now married to, and my best
No
friend at
way.
the time was in a room at one of my condos, and he like would come and he was staying there for a short period, and they needed to shoot the album cover, and he's like, would you do it? And so we just like ran over to the studio and like shot it out real quick, and it turned out amazing, and everybody loves it, and
I do. Yeah, I
I
do
love
too.
it. Yeah. It was so funny because they had this vision of the all white, but I think I had like dark red hair or black hair or something. So we'd do like wig me up really quick. And yeah, and we just did it. It was a little studio in Hollywood, and we did it. We just busted it out really quick. And yeah,
It's a great picture.
and
Do you,
maybe
do you have
success. So win
do you
win.
have that in your house? I mean, I don't know what you keep in your house, but do you
I
keep
have
that
it
one? That
somewhere like in storage.
okay? Yeah, that is cool as could be.
I don't have one picture. Oh, maybe I have a picture of me and my girls. One picture.
Yeah.
I'm not a big put pictures of myself anywhere.
That's pretty cool. That's cool. I was wondering about that. Just to say you're on an album cover is cool. You know,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool deal.
and I think
Oh wow.
it won like album cover of the year from some like um like legit magazine. I forget, but it did well. So and they're a success, and it's great.
Do you still keep in touch with them?
I don't really,
Okay,
life drifts you apart,
exactly.
but I love them and wish them all the best. And yeah, they're a beautiful family.
There you go. All right, here we go. Question number 2. Have you ever appeared on any late night talk shows, not counting Howard Stern? And if you did, which ones did you enjoy doing?
I have. I did Jon Stewart. I did Conan. I did Leno. What am I leaving out? They were all kind of like a little bit nerve wracking,
Were
and
they?
a little bit like on the spot. Yeah. And I did a lot of daytime ones too. And I remember Conan. Oh, I did Kimmel too. I remember Conan them asking me to come back and do another one, but they wanted me to do like a skit, and it had something to do with like saving someone in the Hudson. I was like,
Oh, really?
fuck no,
Exactly.
never, not in a million years. Like people are like, it's Conan is calling, and I'm
Yeah.
a huge Conan fan, so believe me, it
Yeah.
was painful. But looking at that Hudson, I was like, oh, get the fuck out of here. No, I've seen enough dead bodies in the water. I'm not going in there. Yeah, no.
When you do those late night shows like that, the time is extremely fast. Does it feel like it goes fast? Like, hey, I just sat down and now we're saying
Yes.
goodnight?
And I don't know what I've said. I don't know what's
Yeah.
been said. I don't know what's been asked, and it's a blur, and I'm embarrassed, and that's it.
So I imagine doing like Jay Leno is, in your neighborhood. I mean, that had to be the easiest one to get to and get home to, right?
Yeah, yeah. But sometimes they're more fun, like Conan to travel to New York, and you get to see friends and like make a little trip out of it. That's always fun
Yeah.
too. So no, they're all a good time. It's easy, but like you're always so worried, like I'm gonna be so boring. What am I gonna say? But it's over so quick that it's harmless.
That's cool. I'm a fan of late night TV and all those shows. And there's certain people like Conan is smart. Jon Stewart's very smart. I'm a Kimmel fan, and so any of those people, I always think it's cool. And as a viewer, I always try and get a chance to see those shows in person. I just like to see how they're done, and so I'm always a little fascinated. It's always interesting to me when those guys are gone or on vacation and somebody fills in. Like Jimmy Kimmel doesn't work in the summers anymore. He'll have guest hosts, and he realized how hard it is to do that job where
Yeah,
those people make it look easy all the time.
yeah.
Yeah. Here we go. Question number 3. Have you ever been in any music videos, not counting in Baywatch, when you would have a scene to music that would be like a music video?
Um, um, I did a little thing for, I'm good friends with Seth, from Crazy Town. Like, do you know, are you familiar with
Yes,
that?
I know. I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay, so I did a little, like, just showed up on set, and like it was like a house group of friends thing. I did that. And one, I just want to die. I to even say this out loud. I met these guys who sing that song Daisy Dukes. Look at
Yeah.
the Daisy Dukes.
Yeah.
And so I like walked through a club scene. Um, and not anything against them. It's just like
Yes.
I'm out of place and don't belong there. And I think that's it. That's a good question.
Do you show your daughters any of this, or do you
No,
just say maybe they'll find
I
it?
can't
Yeah.
even watch it myself. Like no, 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 no.
All right, question number 4. With you liking the outdoors, did you enjoy making the movie Snowman's Pass, aka What Lies Above?
I loved that. I got to learn how to rock climb on all our time. My daughter did. We climbed. My daughter was little. My oldest was young, and we hiked the Chief. I don't know if you know if that is. It's the biggest boulder in North America. And
Okay.
like there's parts where you like have to climb up chains and ladders. Like it's tough. It's a full hike. And she came running down there and rolling. Her knees are bloody. Her elbows are bloody. And she's like, yeah. It was like the best time we ever had. There's like creeks all at the bottom because it's in near Whistler,
Okay.
Canada. So and then I was working with the guys who had done Cliffhanger. And
Oh,
so not only did they teach us how to climb and like legitimately climb, they would let us like they would hold on to us and like let us like lean back over a cliff. And
yeah.
like and back then I was like a daredevil. I mean, I remember
Wow.
bungee jumping on that trip. I worked with my good friend George Stoltz. Hey George. Um, and we had such a good time river rafting, playing in the creeks. The only thing was like I would tell my daughter, Dylan, careful, there's bears out there. There's black bears. If you ever see one, you run. But yes, what a fun trip.
That is wild. So, okay, so we know you did bungee jumping. Did you ever skydive?
No, I
God, see, I
haven't.
would skydive before I bungee jump. Bungee jumping freaks me out. Like I'm going to rely on this guy to tell me that this thing is not going to keep me from hitting the ground. I don't know why.
Well,
In
you're
my
you're
mind,
sure your parachute's gonna open, and if it
I,
does open, you're sure it's gonna work properly. And like
I don't
that
know.
landing looks rough when you skydive.
Yeah,
That's you see people hit the ground so hard. Like no thanks.
I've seen somebody hit the ground once. Yeah. Well,
I
it's
know a
funny.
guy
Right
that
behind.
lost his life, so I definitely would
Yeah,
never do it. He was
I
a
saw a guy break his back. Yeah.
oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know a guy who was did it all the time, pro at it, and his chute didn't open one time. And
There's a place right behind me where there's a skydiving place. Like no joke. Like people literally drive by my house to go skydive. All the time. But
I wouldn't do
it's
either. I wouldn't do either
yeah,
anymore. I'm worried
yeah,
about like staying healthy. Never mind like
yeah,
throwing another factor that
yeah,
I'm going to throw myself off some
yeah.
high place anymore. I'm past all of that in my life. I'm like I'm trying to keep it together. I'm trying to keep it safe. I'm trying to like drink my water. It's so many things like I'm at the doctor all the time. Is everything okay? Is everything okay? Because at this age,
Yeah. Well, it's funny you dropped the water thing. I've been I suffer with migraines, and I know you say you have issues as well. And you said just make sure you're drinking water. I laugh because water always seems to be the cure for everything. Just
for
flush out your
everything,
body, whatever it is,
I know.
whatever's going on. I always, it's funny when you just talked about bungee jumping and skydiving. I'm thinking about the first person that tried it. Out of all these that seem a little nuts to me, the first person that tried hang gliding to me is the craziest guy
Oh,
going. The guy that literally ran
still
right
do it.
off a cliff. Yeah,
Crazy. Woohoo!
yeah.
Do it.
I mean,
No.
we've all thrown that paper airplane that didn't work and just dove right into the ground. And
Yeah.
what if that was you hang gliding?
I don't
And
think
then
I've
your friends
ever
would go,
thrown
idiot.
a successful
Yeah.
paper airplane. I don't think I've ever thrown one. So my chances are low. Mine have always crashed or gone the wrong direction. So my chances aren't good there.
Oh my gosh. All right, here we go. Last question. I will let you go. Do you ever do any signings, appearances at Comic-Con, celebrity, nostalgia shows, anything coming up in the future for you?
I have done them. I've done a handful of them. I don't have any coming up. If you guys know of a con and you want to write to them and suggest me. It's one of those things. I don't like go calling them and asking them. It's,
Yeah.
if anybody calls me up. And I do have an online signing thing going on though. If you go to my Instagram or my Facebook, and I'll tag them in this episode, and they're doing like an online con, which kind of became popular during the pandemic because all
Yeah.
these people who make their livelihood doing that said, what do we do? So we have to do virtual ones. So I do have that going on, but not any in-person ones at the moment. So I don't know, write into them and let them know.
I think that'd be cool. I think that'd be absolutely
Yeah, they're
absolutely
fun.
great.
They're really
Yeah.
fun to do. You meet some real characters, and you meet people that know more about you than you do. I mean, I am blown away. I learn something about myself every single time. At least one thing. I usually learn quite a few things about myself. And so, yeah, it's really fun to like meet the fans.
When you do that and you meet people that know more about you than you, how does it usually basically resonate in your head? Is it a compliment to you or scare you?
I just wonder where the fuck I've been. I'm just like, where have I been? Like, you know this, I don't.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I go for. I just find
Oh,
it
that
interesting, and yeah.
yeah, that is funny. I have people that repeat stuff to me all the time, and I go, I don't remember saying any of that stuff. But then I'll ask other, oh yeah, you said that. And I
Yeah.
go, oh man, I didn't even pay attention. I can't remember what I just did. It felt that comfortable. That is very funny. All right, that is good. Again, if you want to, if you have a question for next week's show, all you have to do is go to Nicole's mailbag, and I'll pull questions out. But again, those are great, Tony. They're fantastic. Appreciate that. And
Yeah, good
yeah,
question.
I learned stuff. Yeah, I learned stuff about you. I had no idea. The album cover thing. Now I'm gonna have to look it up. Well, I'm sure it was posted as we're talking. Josh does a great job of putting pictures up, but I'm sure it just showed up. But I
Okay,
got to look it up now.
It's pretty explicit. Fair warning. You might look at me a little different tomorrow.
That is funny. That is funny. Nicole, great job again. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm so happy for your friend.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. I love that. I love that. I love that. It's always a good time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys follow us, subscribe to us, write to us, tell us who you want to see on the show. Any more good questions like Tony had? I love them. Keep them coming, and we will see you next week. And I promise to try to stay on schedule. I've been flaky. I know it. I had a lot going on. I'm new at this like scheduling thing, so I'll get on it.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.